Hello and welcome to Max Black. Today we are so excited to have an incredible health and wellness panel amassed for you to give us the information that we need to live healthy and happy lives. I'm so happy to introduce to you today, starting with Miss Soraka Yolanda Sabio. How are you?
I am fine. Glad to be here.
Wonderful to have you. And right next to her is Melanie McClellan.
Good morning.
Good morning. So good to have you here, Melody.
Yes, glad to be here.
Wonderful. And right next to me is the incredible Orlandina Balan.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
It is wonderful to have you all. Now, I first want to start off with saying that the obvious, the elephant in the room, the real elephant in the room is the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And so many people over the course of the pandemic, including myself, put on a few pandemic pounds. That's what I call them, okay? So I would love to start off by each and every one of you, just one by one, giving me like a quick tip around what we should do if we're ready to shed the pandemic poundage. I know that's a big question, but let's start with Orlandina. Let's start with you.
First thing you could do, get up and go for a walk. A lot of us have been tethered to our desks, so something as simple as instead of going to the fridge to reach for something to snack on.
Oh, you mean I'm not supposed to do that?
No, you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry. You need to get up, go for a walk.
Okay, I love it. What do you think, Coach Melody?
Yes, Dr. Avis, one thing that I would recommend is really doing an overhaul on your nutrition. That's 80% of your success. Therefore, if you eat properly and then add that exercise, it definitely will make an impact.
That makes a lot of sense to me. What about you, Siriaka?
And I would add that it's your mind, how you think about this whole time and what you have to do.
Yeah.
I think if you start there and you begin to change that, that'll be a first step.
Oh, that's a very interesting. I'm so glad you brought in the mind-body connection because I really do believe it's connected. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. So with regards to getting our minds right, because I do know that this has been a difficult time for a lot of people emotionally and everything else. How do we start to go down the path of mental wellness in this moment of still quite challenging and uncertain times?
First of all, I think knowing that you can do it,
Yeah.
that you can get over it, and talking to yourself. Self-talk is so important, and we do it all the time without even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. But really begin to mouth the things that you believe and want in your life, not what you don't want. Mm-hmm. Because that you're going to attract what you don't want. So that's a first step, I would say.
That makes so much sense. I love that. Coach Melody, I know that you work a lot with corporate organizations, and I'm sure that they have had a lot of challenges, not only in terms of the wellness of their employees, but also maybe that mind-body connection. Do you work with them in that way? And if so, how?
Absolutely. And when you think about it, I really try to start with the executives first because it is a top-down philosophy. Because if they understand and value wellness, then it will be trickled down to the workplace with the employee wellness. Mm-hmm. And mindset really is important because you want to be sure you have to do this day in and day out. I always use the word lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. It has to be a part of your lifestyle in order to make it happen long term. And it's not something you can do today or tomorrow. The pandemic is going to go on forever, but we really need to take care of ourselves.
I love that. It makes so much sense. No matter what happens with the pandemic, focus internally and take care of you first.
Absolutely.
I love it. Orlandina, your clients I know are looking to go through transformations. Is that mindset shift the hardest part of the journey?
It is. It is the hardest part of the journey, but it's the one that is the most important because once that mindset shifts, like my clients have found that when they finally paused, because that's what this pandemic actually made you do. It made you pause. When they actually paused and saw how much their health was important and began to take time out for themselves and they saw the improvements in just a few weeks. Not that your body's going to change enormously in 3 weeks, but your mindset can shift in 3 weeks. So that mindset is extremely important in beginning to taking that journey towards wellness.
Oh, wow. So I'd love to hear a little bit about some of the people that you've worked with. And like, when you think about all the challenges that people face, but you have helped people through this time, what client can you all think of that gets you the most excited about, oh my goodness, I made a tremendous difference in that person's life? Who would like to go first? Orlandina?
I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in there.
Orlandina's jumping in.
I have to jump in. So I have a client, she owns a spa, and she's all about self-care. And who does she put at the bottom of her list? Herself. So she's always the last one out of the spa. So she started working with me, and I'm like, okay, this is the time we have to get here. She would always get here a little bit late. Then I noticed her time. She started to come sooner and sooner and eventually right on time. I'm like, what's happening? She said, I told my family, peace. She said, I'm literally, I have my backpack and I'm walking out the door. I'm like, bye, you can close up. You know how to close the register. You know how to do everything. She finally just said no. And to me, that is amazing. Like, she had tears out of coming down her face when she told me that. So to me, that was gold.
I love that.
That was
when
gold.
When you think of it like peace like this, but also peace, like inner peace.
Inner peace.
She was
peace, deuces,
prioritizing it.
Yes. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Melody, looked like you wanted to jump in too.
Well, and that's just because I have so many. The pandemic actually, it helped my business to explode because people did start to realize I need to take time for myself.
Yeah.
But what happened when someone stands out, it is a president. She's a organization. It's a health system. So she had 30,000 lives, 250 employees. She found me on Facebook and said, I need you. I need to work with you. And so as the pandemic came through, she got amazing results, and her why was she wanted to be off medication. And we had they actually ended up hiring me. I got a 2-year contract from this also, by the way.
Is awesome.
Yes, and what she said to her staff is that I wasn't good when I started. Through the pandemic, everything started to fall apart. She was at her highest weight. She was stressed out. She wasn't feeling well, and then she started working with me. Everything, lost the weight, not stressed out, putting herself first, putting her employees first. And now I'm rolling out their health model for the health system. And so it was such a blessing when she came to me and said, I'm off my blood pressure and my diabetes medication.
Oh my goodness.
That's it right there. Yes.
That is amazing. Siriaka.
Yeah, I work with women 50 and over, and I have a client who just turned 60 a few weeks ago. She is a breast cancer survivor, okay? So she's always been looking for that next step. I want to do more, I want to be here for my family, for my husband, my grandkids. So we had done something on intermittent fasting with her. You know, I taught her what it means, how to do it, all the benefits in a master class. And then we did a challenge, a 7-day challenge. And she, you know, I said to her, let's start out just with like 12 hours. I don't push people, you know, like you take it slow because some people, you know, it's hard. She said, she started like with 14, 16 hours. And so every day she was, you know, doing more and more, and she loved it. She loved the accountability because every morning, you know, I would send out emails letting you know, okay, this is your little, you know, to motivate and to keep you going, just a little bit of information, and that helped her so much. So that's a client that I really, really just, you know, treasure because of all that she's gone through, and she is still seeking health.
That is beautiful. And I love the fact that you work with women 50 and over. I have a special predisposition for women 50 and over because I'm 50 and over. Okay, so can you give us some tips for women who are at that, I would say, that next stage, that best stage of life? What can we do to make sure that we age well, gracefully, and with health and wellness and fitness?
I think, first of all, understanding that this is a stage in life that is not like the stages before. You are a different woman than you were 5, 10, 20 years ago.
Amen to that.
So, you know, a lot of women get settled and they don't move as much. Move. Move. Every single day, move, because you don't want those muscles to atrophy and, you know, then you all kinds of problems. In terms of your way of eating, and I like to use the word way of eating as opposed to diet, because that sometimes is a trigger word for people.
Right.
I say, begin to look at the things and how your body feels after you have them. Do you feel sluggish after you eat something? How's your sleep? How are your moods? Those are all things that come into play.
Yeah.
And one of the things as you get older, you're going to eat, you really need to eat less.
Yeah.
And fewer carbs.
Really? Oh, Jesus.
Fewer carbs. And I know that.
Might be my problem. Right there.
Right? Quality.
Okay.
That's what she's saying. Eat less, but just quality.
Quality, that's
All
right.
right.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, from both Orlandina and from Melody, Coach Melody, you know, I'm just continuing that vein. What are your parting words for women at the most, what I would say, the best stage of life? What do we do to move into that area in health and happiness?
Well, Dr. Avis, I will say that I am that lady too that's moving into that way. Kids are gone. It's really about you creating a new life. It's really self-care. one thing I recommend to all of my clients and anyone that I talk to, taking an hour for yourself. If you need to start with 30 minutes and work your way up, but you have to have a routine and make sure that you stick with it. And that should include better nutrition, more whole, healthy foods, the exercise, the self-care could be meditation, prayer, any of those regimens that you choose. And also just trying to stress less. We have to understand everything does not have to be perfect. It will be okay. And if you can't get to it today, you get to it tomorrow. And then just really take time to start thinking about your triggers and things that bother you, maybe things that stress you out, make you sad, or those emotions, because a lot of people react to food around emotions too. So we can find some other mechanisms that we can incorporate as a result, as opposed to going to the refrigerator or eating your emotions. So it's really about being very mindful of what's going on with you.
Okay. And super quickly, Orlando, what would Orlando do?
Just remember that this is a temple.
Yes.
And you need to treasure it.
I love it.
That is it. And any decision that you make, all you have to ask yourself is, am I honoring my temple? And that will answer it all.
Love that.
Am I honoring my temple?
That is like
That's
a
it.
Zen moment.
That is
to
a Zen
end
moment.
on.
That's it. Am I honoring my temple?
Love it. Are you honoring your temple? That's a wonderful way to conclude this segment. Thanks for joining us today on Max Black.